Okay, we got a fun one today. I was telling Hannah about this topic that I wanted to talk about, and she was just so excited because she wants to shove a lot of things in my face of things she's believed for a long time that I'm having to come around on. First up, Hannah, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, what we're talking about as we continue to look at this evolution of search and obviously diversification on different platforms and whatnot. One of the things that we are seeing is just a difference of previous marketing activity where you could get to a conversion for a very interested party in a much faster format and a much more, let's say, reliable way. Like something as simple as Google paid search ads. Hey, I need something. This company's up top. I'm going to go to their website. Here's 3 different ways that I can give them my information. And now I can book a demo. I can do all of this stuff. That was what was happening the most in most searches, let's say 5 years ago. Now in the new search world, mainly AI, AEO, GEO, what we are seeing is when you become the answer to someone's query, typically you're not seeing you might be cited, you might get a link to read more on your website, but typically you're given the information that a customer needs right then and there. So let's talk a little bit about the importance of brand awareness, which is something that I think sales teams and people who are involved in sales like myself always knew was important, but didn't want to throw as much weight to, as much as we wanted to focus on more conversion focused efforts. But given the changing landscape, sell everybody on why brand awareness is more important than ever.
Okay, well, I feel like forever and ever, people have been toting the importance of TOFU, MOFU, BOFU, hitting people at the top of funnel, giving them education, information, making them more informed so that when they get to middle of funnel and they're actually considering solutions, they're well educated in what they're looking for. So none of this is new. But
Now
I
I'm going
know
to
a
stop you.
lot of people.
You're right. You're right. None of it's new, but sales and marketers are different, right? And marketers have always believed everything that you're saying. Salespeople have always tried to cut out that top of funnel, even some middle funnel, and get people who want to buy on the phone and feel like they can convince them very quickly to go with their company without having, 10 educational white papers read before they hop on a call. Right. So I don't think what you're saying is wrong. I think marketers have always believed that, but sales leaders are having to listen now. And that's what I want to focus on, because you're right. The marketers have screamed this forever. And now the platforms are making it just absolutely essential, as opposed to something I think salespeople thought that they could gloss over.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I was going to say. It's like we've been screaming it in screaming it to the ether forever, but people are always like, but we don't care about that. We just want the end user. But now we're seeing, especially with the way people are putting in their initial search queries, that they want the information before they're going to trust you to be the provider of the solution. So, more so now than ever, you have to be a thought leader. Even for your information at middle and bottom of funnel to rank, you need to hit the criteria of EEAT, which requires you to be the authority on the topic. And you cannot have topical authority with only bottom of funnel information. So it's kind of a necessary evil that sales teams now have to finally listen to what the marketer's been saying for a long time. And
And
I
I
think
think
we represent both sides of that. You're more of the sales focus, I'm more of the marketing focus, and now we're having a come to reality.
And let's look at it through like the lens of a SaaS product. Let's say you're a project management software and somebody types in, hey, best project management software 2019, right? Back in the day. And you'd have a bunch of competitors, fighting over those first 3 paid links. Then you'd have some sort of aggregate that would have like the 10 best project management, you'd have the directories, the G2s, and all of that. Well, now, if you see that, then you're going to get a snippet right up front of probably one of those like top 10 breakdowns. Okay. And in the old days, if you had your ad up there, people were used to going, clicking the ad. Hey, this sounds good on the landing page. I'll book a demo. Okay. And now with a snippet, now they're kind of getting you to go from 10 to 5. And so now you've got your competitors and you're like, okay, well, and so it definitely becomes more research heavy. Where do you think sales leaders need to be able to shift their minds to be able to bring this on? Because they're still always going to want marketing to lead to sales, right? And so in as much as we want to preach patience, nobody really wants to hear that. So what is a more practical way of enhancing brand awareness, but actually getting that and being able to measure it all the way to the point of sale?
So with the introduction, pause this. Austin, I don't even know what your question is. You threw so many things out there that I'm not even sure what I'm answering.
The camera's going to keep rolling. I think it's a good topic at an interesting time, and obviously there's an evolution. But what I'm saying is, if I'm a sales leader and I'm hearing my marketing team tell me a bunch of things I don't want to hear, right? Which is, it's going to take longer. We need to put out more top of funnel content and educate. You're going to be able to attribute a lot of sales to marketing, but it's going to be a little harder, even if you have something like HubSpot. So I'm a salesperson, and now I want to know how marketing is going to be able to send me more leads as search is evolving. So without, I want to hear from you, the marketer, on what I should expect. And I want it to sound like something I want to continue to invest
in. Okay. Okay, so very much so investing in that top of funnel content, even though it's going to feel a little bit cumbersome at the beginning because maybe it's not as attributable down to sales. There is this eco space that we have to exist in where all of them play in together. And especially with some like attribution modeling, we can see a little bit of that play at top of funnel and what those pieces are doing towards moving us. But some of it is going to come down to how that helps grow the middle and bottom of funnel interactions, engagement, etc. It's kind of like, what do they say? Rising tide lifts all boats. The introduction of top of funnel assets isn't just for an education play. Also, the congregate level of information that you're putting out there raises the success of your middle and bottom of funnel assets. So when you're introducing more top of funnel assets, you will start to also see your middle and bottom of funnel assets start to achieve better velocity and search volume in leads, even if they're coming in a little bit either more educated or higher up in the funnel and you're working them down.
And I think based off of what you're saying now, what you said before with the EEAT, I think if you don't look at it as brand awareness as much as leadership awareness, is, we don't just need to give you educational materials. We need to show you why our company is focused on this problem while we're leading the charge in this space, and why you should pay attention. Because I think when you're trying to talk to salespeople and get them excited about marketing and getting marketing to actually lead to sales and revenue growth, you've got to be able to, nobody wants to just talk about brand, right? Because brand is something that is, people have wasted thousands of, not millions of dollars on, right? But I think you can draw a straighter line to being a leader and being able to say, hey, we're leading voice in this, and we're going to tell the world why to sales than you are, we're going to get our name out there, right?
Yeah, so 100%. And brand awareness is different now than it was previously. Brand awareness doesn't just mean my name is more places, because that doesn't matter. It's that my name is the leader in more things, that I am the expert in areas that I previously wasn't the industry expert in, that I have the authority in topics that I wasn't previously the authority expert in. There's definitely a bigger push towards the principles of EEAT and what that means on a brand awareness play.
And so that's where we all have to make that shift. We have to shift that if we're going to be putting out content, it's not necessarily about the brand. It's about leading the target customer where they want to go. Oh, and we just so happen to work at this company.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So let's finish this out with AI, and just whether you're doing a chat on Google like you used to, and now you've got a Gemini overview as one of your first results. I think I just read 84% of searches now get some sort of Gemini overview, or if you're in ChatGPT trying to figure something out. How, as a company, do you take some of this brand awareness content that you're building, this thought leadership content, and get it seen more in these snippets, more seen in ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity?
Yeah. So now you're opening up the can of worms. We've always talked about traditional SEO. So search engine optimization. How do we write for Google? And of course, we'll whisper Bing, Yahoo in the background, but really Google's been king for years. And with that, we've always traditionally said what matters most: keywords. You'll hear certain people talk about word count, things like that. All of that has moved kind of to the wayside with this introduction Google made years ago to moving towards like helpful content, writing content that answers people's questions, gets them the information they need in as few scrolls or searching as possible. All of this is only expanding with the introduction of AI. So now, in addition to ranking for Google, you need to worry about like GEI, which is Generative Engine Optimization. How do I write the content in a way that makes it for ChatGPT to pick it up, consolidate it to a streamlined answer for their user and as little work as possible? So you have to frame content to be written that way. AEI, we talk about like answer engine optimization. How do I directly answer the questions that my audience has in a way that can get me pulled to a featured snippet? So now how we're writing content, I typically say if you're writing with the end user in mind, you're 95% of the way there. Then we just need to work on structure and schema and things like that to make it easy for the engines to pick up. But kind of like I said before, the best practices that used to exist are just being highlighted now more so than ever.
And I think this is all leading to something that we're just going to be screaming for, the next year until everybody's on board, which is that you've got to be developing a ton of this thought leadership content across different mediums at a very high velocity. You've got to own your corner. You've got to own your niche, and you've got to be able to really pump it out in a fun, engaging, interesting way. And you've got to be everywhere all the time to those people looking for what you have. And that's where search is headed. So,
and you can leverage AI to do that in higher velocity. There's like a very conscious, reasonable way to introduce it, which they call AIO, leveraging artificial intelligence to optimize your content development. That's very much the future that we're headed in as well. It's just about making sure that you're still following those best practices and not losing your voice in that transition.
So to recap, you're going to need to shift budget, more on content, less on straight ads, and you're going to have to really work that funnel, but it's going to still be shortened if that content is not just being developed to be developed, but if you actually have a point of view and are creating a leading voice in your niche or industry. So thank you, Hannah. This was awesome. This is going to be a lot about what we're going to be talking about for a very long time, because this is all changing. This is what everybody wants. This is the wave everyone wants to ride, and they want to ride it the right way so they don't spill out. So thanks so much.
Yep. Thank you.
That's it for today. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up and make sure you hit subscribe so you can see our latest videos as soon as they drop. We really appreciate you watching. See you next time.